I'm feeling this tremendous love coming from the Pleiadians out to everybody here. And the truth of the energy of the sacred numbers and numerology just plays such a powerful part in the whole cosmos and our whole resident universe and through the cells of our body. So what a beautiful subject, you know.
Welcome to another star-charged episode of the Numerology Show, where numbers meet the cosmos and soul paths are decoded. Now, today I am truly honoured to welcome back to the show a very special guest known as Christine Day. And she's an internationally celebrated spiritual teacher, an author, and of course a Pleiadian Ambassador as well. So Christine is best known for her profound connection with the Pleiadian beings, a relationship that began with a life-changing awakening in 1994. Since then, she's been offering clear and powerful channels for her wisdom, offering transmissions, activations, and guidance to help humanity to realign with its divine essence. So she's also the author of the Pleiadian Initiations of Light, the Pleiadian Principles for Living, and the Pleiadian Promise as well. And these are all essential reading for anyone walking the Starseed path and seeking to deepen their galactic remembrance. So in today's episode, we're exploring how numerology and Pleiadian wisdom intersect, and how numbers serve as cosmic codes of awakening, and how you can use this knowledge to navigate your soul's mission with clarity and grace. So get cozy, open your heart, and because this is going to be a multi-dimensional journey like no other. Isn't that right, Christine?
It really is. And I know I'm emotional right now, but I'm feeling this tremendous love coming from the Pleiadians out to everybody here. And the truth of the energy of the sacred numbers and numerology just plays such a powerful part in the whole cosmos and our whole resident universe and through the cells of our body. So what a beautiful subject, you know.
Oh, I agree. And it's lovely to see you feeling that passion, Christine, because I think that you're right. It is a glue that sort of, it's a universal language. And it's wonderful that the Pleiadians, can find ways of being able to communicate their message through the divine symbol of numbers. So I guess my first question for you is, how can you share with us how numerology specifically fits into your spiritual journey and your work with the Pleiadians?
Well, it's an interesting topic because understand I don't have any background in numerology, but I only have my awakening from the Pleiadians and their step-by-step guidance and the work I've been doing with the Galactic Federation and within the universe itself, and the understanding of myself as a being and the imprints of my own unique divine signature, because each one of us have a unique divine signature that's made up of a collective series of numbers. And so it's like a frequency, a resonance that we carry within the cells of our hearts. So I've awakened to that without understanding numerology, but understanding the imprint and the codes and the sacred geometry that goes with each one of those individual resonant imprints that we are.
Yeah. And that's a really good point. Sometimes you don't need to have a formal training in numerology to be able to understand what I call the language of light. And, it's wonderful that you are able to interpret this in your own way, because I think sometimes the more we divert away from structural processes of learning, it can help us to understand more of a heart-based language. So have the Pleiadians shared with you any specific insights about the vibrational meaning of life path numbers or ruling numbers, or wherever you want to call them? Because I know they've got different names within different forms of numerology.
Yeah, well,
Have they given you any insights?
Well, they give me the energetic resonance of the sacred geometrical configurations that are based on, we've got the triangular base, the base of three, and that pyramid form, and the energy of in the essential essence of that three frequency. And that three frequency vibrates through all life force matter within the universe. So it's like the most, to me, or from what I've seen with the light, and because I see a lot of light and frequency, I have been given that inner understanding and knowledge and vision of that. And I see the sacred resonance of the three that creates us as a holy connection, not only with the God consciousness that is within each one of us, within each cell, but that number three is the resonance, almost like what I'd call the base for everything else to arise within us and to evolve within us, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. It's interesting that you should, associate the number three with Christed consciousness, because in the color mirror system that I work with, the color mirrors, bottle number three is called Jupiter and it's coral in color. And we say that coral is the color of the new Christ ray. So
Mm.
this is where pink, love, and yellow power come together for the purpose of expansion. So there is this foundational essence, of the promise of Christed consciousness for humanity at this point on the Earth's timeline.
And at this point is the time, because understand there's a new network, a frequency network surrounding the Earth, calling the new Earth. And it carries the sacred frequency of the three because it's made up a series of triangular forms, almost like the flower of life on some levels. But it doesn't just go around the earth plane, it goes through the earth plane to the magnetic core of the earth, where we've got new structures, geometrical structures becoming alive within the magnetic core of the earth. And those structures, yes, they're made up of three, but nine is the master frequency there within the magnetic core. And that nine resonance that I was been shown is evolving for our evolution. And that part of that new earth is us coming back enlivened with our Christ consciousness. It's like Christ consciousness returning in a very different way to earth, and we carry that element, and we're becoming enlivened with that as part of the new dawning era.
Yeah. Okay, so nine is associated with Mars energy, and of course, well, as you're talking, it's reminding me of Nikola Tesla's 369, and that being the secret God code or the codes to the universe. Is this kind of what you're getting at?
Well, I don't know any of this,
Ah,
but I'm just giving you what my perceptions are and what I understand and what I've been shown, and then we get your interpretation of that. But absolutely, it's the rising, the awakening of the Christ light. We carry that Christ light. It's part of our self-realization, enlightenment process to come back into the realization of ourselves, not the human ego persona, but that Christ consciousness, enlightenment of a multidimensional being,
mm,
spiritual being. And that is part of the prophecy. That is
okay.
actually to happen like very shortly. It's not something many years away.
So how's this going to take shape then, Christine? The nine, being a number of completion, and interestingly as well, we are in a universal year nine this year because we're in 2025, where the two plus five is nine. And we're seeing the resonance of the nine energy across the planet right now with war, with completion of old cycles and fire energy of the Mars, which really
Yeah.
started the year off.
Yeah.
Does this all play itself into what you're saying?
Simultaneous to that, what I call the third dimensional drama, and it's it's there, are alternate reality spaces that have always existed simultaneously on Earth, but now they are starting to, this is part of what they call the split taking place right now, where the alternate reality spaces are starting to stabilize and open into the new Earth frequency that's being engaged through the 9 of the magnetic core of the Earth, that we are, our Earth is evolving. So there's almost like 2 different options to live right now, in total drama or evolution of the self-realization within the alternate reality spaces, which third dimensional drama does not exist. So this is also part of the prophecy, and it's part of what I am experiencing now as the split that is taking place and has taken place since 2025, since we entered 2025. The drama third dimension is accelerating, and the alternate reality spaces are almost like buds of a flower opening their petals and actually taking root in Earth, so that they're stabilizing and anchoring here as an alternative experience to be had.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's carrying a very strong 9 resonance from the magnetic core.
Okay, so that's interesting. So it's carrying a strong 9 resonance from the magnetic core. Is this then connected to 9 dimensions of consciousness that are becoming accessible as the Earth is splitting?
That's true. That is part of the alternate space, where each one of us has a divine right to be if we so choose. The key is, what these spaces are doing is giving us the potential to very quickly enlighten. And that means to come into the realization of our highest sacred natures that has always been intact within us. It's not separate from us, and we can move into that realization of that part of ourselves in any moment. And that's part of the rapid evolution created, I believe, by the frequency of the 9. And I don't know, I'm saying this, but but I'm getting that. And there's a lot of emotion with that, because it's a very pure essence and energy that is here to lift and allow us to elevate ourselves at this time back home to ourselves in these physical bodies, not leaving the planet.
Yeah, 100%. Well, it's lovely that, because it's interesting how, in some of the other discussions that I've had with Rachel Lang and other of the numerologists that I've spoken to on the show so far, they also bring a big emphasis on the number 9. And it makes me feel really good, actually, because I'm a ruling number 9 in numerology. So, and it's always been my favorite number. So it's lovely that, that you're bringing that awareness to me as well, which is wonderful. So how do Pleiadian technologies or healing practices then integrate or respond to an individual's numerological blueprint? How would you say that sort of integrates?
Well, they've worked with the human blueprint for a long time in the initiations. Their initiations are very, what I would call, broad spectrum, where they have an enormous potential for anyone who chooses to take it. So it can work with the person least evolved and the person most evolved. They're really versatile in the frequency and the light that they operate from, and they are pure light. They are pure consciousness. They have had their evolution, and part of their evolutionary path is to bring their mission here and to assist the Earth at this time in that. So they work with these very high frequency transmissions, and so they work through with permission from people, the DNA, which is also part of this blueprint that we're talking about. And it's also part of, I'm being shown right now, of the numerology, very, very powerful frequency, the DNA. And it's made up of a sequence of numbers and positions that are They move right up through the 10th realms of dimensional realms. So it's very complex. It's complex, but it's very pure. It's at the very pure level. And so they will function and work through those frequency lines with the imprints, and the imprints are all the sacred geometry, there's sacred resonance frequencies, all numbered, if you like. They all are numbered on a frequency level to perfectly align and create evolution within the individual who's ready. And all this is just channeling through right now. So I'm just taking it in as I say it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that makes any sense.
Well, it actually does. Yeah, to me it does.
Good. All right. So
Yeah,
that's good. I'm giving you that, and now you can do something with that.
yeah, it does. I suppose, like in a practical way, how would you say, with this, I know that the Earth is splitting and it's very tangible, and with the energy of the nine, how is this like affecting people on a day-to-day basis, sort of practically, with as they move through their life? How are they going to start being able to perceive their realities now, if they are, sort of evolving on the evolution cycle?
If if they're an awakened, if they're in an awakened state and actively seeking and understanding the process, it's going to accelerate their potential for awakening and for realization of themselves. It's a clear cut. It allows them to move more easily beyond the ego mind persona and start to stabilize within the realized aspect of self. So that's awakening, enlightenment. So these alternate reality spaces are specifically designed to achieve that. So within my groups, I'm working within those energetic spaces with the frequencies, which are very much numerology frequencies, to assist them in really dropping the persona, to more than dropping, to come to an understanding that that is not who they are in true existence within that pure frequency, that nine, we'll call it the energy of nine, the pure frequency of completion. And so that it just helps it to just kind of like shed the old persona much more easily and to be able to stand clearly within the direct experience of their real self, that spiritual multidimensional being.
So for those people, would you say then they are less likely to come across any form of disresonance or discordance with war or
Yeah,
anything that's low vibrational?
exactly. They start to stabilize and witness it, but understand they're not part of that. That is not in their reality base at all. And there's still many human beings that need that that drama. And they're the ones that are playing it out and playing it out fully. It's necessary. It's not good or bad. It's just chaos, and it's being magnified because of the new structures of the new Earth itself and the energetic frequency with those numerology, that they're creating this rather resonance that's almost like expanding and feeding into the drama to allow it to cycle really fast. And at the moment, it's acceleration. It's not decelerating at this point.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, great. So what about master numbers then, with from a Pleiadian perspective or a galactic perspective, like the 11 or the 22 or the 33?
Mhm.
Do the galactics or the Pleiadians specifically see them as being anything similar to, what the teachings are in regular numerology?
They held a very powerful position energetically, but they don't see them quite as they've been interpreted by the human mind. it's, I'm trying to get the words accurate because the plans are very, very clear on accuracy and things being said as they are, not getting it almost what they are trying to say. But it's a much finer resonance than you would that I don't mean that despairingly, that the human mind understands it to be. Yes, we have it elevated, but we don't have it elevated to meet what it actually is in those realms.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that will become more apparent as we move and align deeper within our own self-realization. But magnify it, they say, magnify it 100,000-fold, and you'll be getting close to the true, the truth of it. It's like the purest of the pure. And we don't have the language for it here in our language at this point. It's more a telepathic frequency. It's sent telepathically, and that's what the Pleiadians are doing to me now, is sending it telepathically to me. And it's beyond any words, but really, really significant. And those sacred numbers will be utilized in the new earth frequency codes at a certain moment, but not for some time, not until we're ready to be able to absorb and digest them in our systems. And we're not ready for that yet.
Okay, so it's almost like the resonance of the 9 is something that we're ready for right now. The master numbers 11, 22, 33, we're not quite ready as a human race or a collective to be able to integrate and anchor those higher vibrations of light at this point.
Yes.
Yeah.
And those numbers go higher past 33. So it's what makes up more emotion, but it's what makes up the most magnificent, purest states of the holy energies. So what they call the God seed of power in beyond this universe, actually.
So the God seed of power, could you just elaborate on what they mean by that?
Well, I've spent some time aligning to that frequency in moments. Sometimes when I go off planet, they take me into a level of the arena of that, which is what I would describe as really a very holy, a pure frequency of profound consciousness. And I'm being gradually immersed into moments of that, just moments. So it's a very the God seed of power oversees all of creation, and it goes beyond this universe outwards, and it just holds a very steady, pure space of being. It's just, from what I've experienced at this point.
So you mentioned that you were able to spend, sort of limited periods of time within that sort of
within
vibration.
probably the lower echelon, element of that, just glimpses. The glimpse is enough because it's like a drop of something that goes through every part of you, and you're not the same. It touches you in such a place that you never even knew existed within you. So it's a revealer. It reveals you to you.
I can see you getting quite emotional there, Christine. What's going on for you?
Well, I've just recently come back from being off planet for quite a while. So my heart went through a rapid transmutation process over that period of time. And so, I'm just become aware from that place off planet. It's just revealed so much more understanding to me of life, of life, of me here, of each one of us here within this very sacred life of this piece of aliveness that we are individually and collectively. So I've come to a very much deeper understanding of everything that's here, and the purity of that. There's a new resonance for me being here. So there's so many different levels to it. So my heart's much more open. So the emotion is joy, love, presence of myself. And just talking brings that up. And it's not a bad thing at all. It's actually very helpful because it's very hard to express it. And then the questions bring that essence into resonance, So and there are no words. It all sounds very convoluted, I'm sure, but yeah, that's basically it. That I'm going through a rapid transmutation myself to bring that to other people, which is my next, step. Will be opening a program up to enable others to move into those spaces. That's part of my work. I hold the energetic platform, and then then I present the frequency of it to those who are ready. And that is my work. It's always been my work,
That's beautiful. Thank you for being so vulnerable there. And I love what you've just said, because you can almost feel this energy emanating from you. I'm interested just to explore a little bit deeper about when you say that you've gone off planet to this space and then returned, and that you've been gone for a while now. This sounds similar to me to what a near-death experience would look and feel like. It's almost like moving beyond the limitations of the earth realm and being exposed to all that is. A lot of people get those sensations through having a near-death experience. Have you ever been through an NDE yourself, or would you say that there is a similarity from the case studies that you've heard?
Well, I haven't heard a lot, but I've heard some from some people. I think it's different from that because it's not just going up and connecting. That might be connecting to the God seed of power resonance, that drop. And I've had that. But off planet's more going into the very higher realm of telepathic communion, to much elevated light spaces, of course, higher dimensional spaces, working deeply, connectedly with the Pleiadians, my Pleiadian family, and the galactic community, and looking from a heightened space of a different perspective of Earth, of being human, of our role here, of what's taking place right now for the planet, of what's to take place, of the structures that are required and what they're needing from me as an anchor here. And so it's certainly an interesting perspective. Where you come back with a very different definition of being here and living differently from a different perspective. So you are in a very heightened consciousness state. They just operate through love and telepathic communion. It's very pure, very clear, very elevated. A lot of joy and understanding and a deepening experience of my own essence and an understanding of myself on very, very different levels. So it gives me a clear perspective that I need for my next steps here in the work I'm to do here with humanity. So yeah, that's what it is. And I'm just not here. I'm gone. And so I'm in those realms, and also working with the Galactic Council, who are overseeing the work that's being done here on Earth right now. And so just working very closely with beings of light, the angelic realms also. A lot of the masters, Jesus Christ and Mother Mary, I'm very interconnected with them and their work here. So there's just working with all those crossroads of light and coming back with in a different way. So that's what it is, but it's very pure and very clear and just truth. I mean, just there's no clutter, there's no drama up there. It's just very clear and pure and easy on many, many levels.
It sounds very similar to, the explanations of people that have crossed that, also interact with beings that may be multidimensional or intergalactic, and of course a lot of them get to meet with Yeshua on their journey to the other side. So it sounds like to me like you've almost had a near-death experience without having a near-death experience in a way, and being able to connect up with the pure essence with that's available beyond the veil. What do the Pleiadians say, as a matter of interest, about, sort of the years that we're going through, 2025 to 2030, in terms of collective consciousness and timeline choice? What have they advised? What have they shown you about how things are going to unfold?
Well, what the main thing I've shown us is that we're actually on track, and they say all the drama and everything that's going on around the planet is to be expected, and that's nothing they're concerned about at all. That was just always going to be part of this time, and the time of the split, where those alternate reality spaces have anchored. They say we're almost a little bit ahead of time with our awakening process, and it will accelerate greatly this year and just continue to accelerate. They see, I think by 2030, they're looking at many of us in self-realization, where to come together. It's the resonance of our heart frequency. We talk about numerology, we'll get back to that, because each one of us has a unique frequency resonance. The cells of our hearts resonate like no one else in the whole universe. We're known through our heart resonance and frequency. And it's always going to be those of us in human bodies that are going to transform Earth, not the Pleiadians, not the galactic, not the angels, the light beings. We in human form have to initiate that. We do it by bringing the collective heart resonance of each one of us choosing to come together, to resonate together, to form and expand the consciousness of Earth. That's just starting in some areas around the world with certain groups of people. So that individual heart resonance, the awakening, the realization of that enlightenment will come by 2030. They see that common resonance amongst a huge group of us human beings, and together we just build this momentous energy of light that is going to transform Earth and transform the consciousness of Earth. And they say at a certain time the drama will cease. You see, it's like waking from a dream. They say, when you're in a dream and you wake up and go, oh, I was only dreaming. Well, they say that is going to happen on a mass level, where there's some of us awake that are actively working on our path. But there's also a whole lot of people with beautiful hearts that are just not conscious, but they will just awaken from a dream and just remember who they are. That's how they've said yes to awakening. We've done it a different way, slogging away, working, doing our stuff for years and years and years. But their way is just to awaken from the dream and remember who they are. And in that, they'll just remember themselves, and they'll So the veil will lift, and that will be another level of human transmutation, transformation taking place, where more of our collective hearts will come together. So it will be just like a beating heart. And so a lot of the drama and the density will leave at that time, because it just won't be necessary anymore. So they're saying a lot of that will take place by 2030, which is not very far away at all.
No.
So there's some very, very intense months and years ahead of us as we go through this rebirth and this transformation.
Yeah, I can imagine. It sounds amazing, to be able to awaken within the dream and it's almost like anchoring heaven on earth. And
Well, it will be anchoring heaven on earth. And then the magnetic core's resonance will go to an 11. Its ultimate goal is to be at a radiating constant 33. They're showing me.
yeah,
With the potential for it to radiate much more than that. But that is where it's going and heading. So understand, if that is the radiance of the pulse of the magnetic core going out across the earth plane, how we will all transform, because we will all hold that resonance.
that's beautiful. It's interesting because in a conversation I had with Joe Soley about the number 33, she's a lady that specializes in something called bizology, which is about helping people with their businesses and numerology. And we spoke about the myth of the number 33. And of course, in numerology, we can find out somebody's life path number or ruling number by adding up all the numbers in their date of birth and reducing it down to a single digit, unless it totals 10, 11, or 22, which remains as a 22 over 4. And the 33 obviously is another master number in other forms of numerology. But she was saying, well, actually, there is that myth associated that that we're able at this point on the Earth's timeline for people to hold the vibration of the 33 as their ruling number or their life path number, because that really is about Christed consciousness. This is about learning to be selfless without being a people pleaser. There is all of
Yes.
this
The
amazing.
evolution of humanity, of our sacred natures, of course. Unconditional love, oneness, being, Yeah.
Yeah, and it's wonderful that eventually, that we're going to hold the resonance of the 33 as a collective. I love that. I live in a house number 33, and it's just such a beautiful energy. And it's ironic as well that the 33 was the age that Jesus was when he became Christ.
That energy of 33 is so aligned to Christ. And I have had my very, very special initiations with Jesus Christ over the years. And it's been life-changing for me, that frequency.
When you say you've had initiations with Jesus and the number 33, like could you be a bit more specific about what that looked like?
Yes, I was actually at the Sea of Galilee in Israel, and I was at Capernaum, the town of Jesus, and I was told, go down by the sea. And I stood by the sea and looked out, and there was Jesus walking across the water towards me. And I was not connected to Jesus Christ at all, not religious, and not that he's part of the church. I mean, they've assumed he is, but he's something else. But when he came to me, and I fell to my knees, I was just sobbing with this energy coming into me, this love. And, I expected kind of a loving voice, but he actually was quite stern. And he said to me, when are you going to take yourself off the cross? You've come here to resurrect yourself in this lifetime. And at that moment, I saw how I had really put myself on a cross for everything that I thought I had done in this world. I'd had a lot of background of child abuse, and I blamed myself for that because I just needed to survive the experience. And he talked about love and my ministry in the world. he stayed with me for a couple of hours. It was like this, and anointed me with his love. It was like the most profound thing. But he didn't leave me. We walked together along the Sea of Galilee, and he just taught me so much and showed me so much of himself and the love that he carried. And it was like I was infused with that. And he returned to me many, many times for many, many years. He's still very, very strongly a part of my experience, but he allowed me to really transform in his love and move into a place of self-resurrection, of taking myself off the cross, of an understanding that's what I'd come here to do. So it was one of the biggest gifts, where I was still very much struggling in my life, and I stopped struggling. I was able to forgive myself, and that took me into a very, very different place, to be able to bring my work out to the world and to people, and to just hold that frequency of love for others. But first it had to be for me, and I was able to, through him, I was able to be really resurrected. So I'm forever grateful for that experience. It was life-changing, and it continued to change my life over the years. I'm still very connected, as I said, to and understanding my path more, being able to not have to forgive, but to, there's no such thing as really needing to forgive anybody. We're all just having an experience that we've chosen. And like my abuse as a child, I chose to have my parents, and I chose to have that experience, and it's no different between being a victim and the perpetrator. And it's just really been a very powerful and profound experience with Jesus Christ for all those reasons, and many, many more. So I'm grateful. And that frequency he carries, that energy that he carries, that it's connected to that unconditional love, is incredibly profound.
Yeah, 100%. So, the 33 energy, you can see how profound an impact it's had in your own life by your own interactions and initiations with Jesus. And of course, for us to be able to collectively hold that vibration together on this planet, you can understand how that can be the reverberance of the heart center, which, also, it reminds me of the number 5 in numerology, the center of the emotional plane, the 5, but of course the 6 as well, which is Venus. And when you add the 3 and 3 from 33, reduces down to the 6. So we're looking at Mercury and Venus as the heart colors, green and pink, but also the resonance of the heart center as well, which I think is wonderful. Are there any other codes, like codes or numbers, that the Pleiadians specifically work with, Christine? And particularly at this moment in time, I know you've mentioned the 9, but are there any sequences of numbers that they wanted to share as well, that can help us to activate or upgrade our dormant DNA?
Yes, some of the sequences for the DNA actually are number sequences that connect to the number 9, like the 2 and the 7, the 5 and the 4, the 3, 3 and 3. All of these frequencies, they're frequency patterns that interact with the DNA strands. And that actually, no, this is wrong. It allows the DNA strands to rotate and resonate with each other. So there's, at any given moment, that those DNA strands are sending out the resonance of the makeup of the frequency of those number sequences that bring in the 9. It's an interesting process. I'm still trying to understand. They're giving me something else here to understand. Um, right, so I'm going to try and make sense of this. So that as the strands, the DNA strands in an individual begin to resurrect themselves, as a self-resurrection process, but it's set in motion through those number sequences, and ultimately there'll just be purity there, but they're not meant to be connected yet. So some of that doesn't make sense, I know, but it's as clear as I can be around it. So if you've got a 6 and a 3, just for example, the 6 and the 3 ignite each other to create a frequency. And what they're showing me is the 6 and the 3 create the 9 frequency. It creates something else, not just the 9 frequency. It creates a spark or point of light that is part of the forging of the resonance that they're talking about. So I don't quite get it, but there's a spark, like between the 6 and the 3 and the 5 and the 2 and the 5 and the 4 and you've got all these, then the sparks become something else that creates something else. There's just like this, it's multi-dimensional interaction with the sparks and the flows. Anyway, I don't know if that makes sense. I just have to say it because that's what I'm getting here.
No, that's wonderful. It does make sense. And, I think that, you know, for those that are watching that don't fully understand it at this point, if they watch the video back in a year's time, I'm sure they'll get it as well, because, sometimes we learn certain things as and when we're supposed to understand them, I think. And I love what you were saying though about how the different ways in which the number nine is made up, can create those different sparks that add to this
Yes,
quantum resonance.
those spark resonance, and those
Yeah.
spark resonance are very impactful within the DNA strand makeup on some
Mm.
level. And ultimately, those strands become like these series of sparks that form like a completely different frequency set of energy, of resonance.
Yeah. So it sounds totally multidimensional, very quantum. And
Yes.
actually, as you're describing it, it sounds like almost like a computer program, like a code from a computer program that is being installed like you would on a software, to be able to upgrade it. And
Yes, maybe yeah, and I'm pretty illiterate with anything like that. But yeah, I'm pretty illiterate of a lot of things. Most of my information I don't read it all. I was told never to read, and that the Pleiadians would give me all the information. They wanted me like a blank canvas, and so that all this information just comes in, and it doesn't go up into my mind, equating it with this, and this, because I don't watch shows or don't read. So it's all just information that comes in that I go, okay, well, I guess this makes sense. And it's been very supportive for me in my journey.
Yeah, I can understand. And that's wonderful that it has come from through such a puritanical force that's been non-corrupted by, sort of other influences, and it makes it so much more authentic and easy to interpret as well. So thank you for that. I love that. So are there any specific numbers that hold a significance for you, Christine, like specifically that you continually work with?
Well, 99 is very strong. Anything with three in it is very strong for me. 33 is incredibly strong. 99 is very strong. Um, they are very strong alignments for me energetically. And we're creating, this, we have a level of land here, and we're creating this sacred geometrical, almost like Stargate energy for the ships to come in. And so they're all done based on levels of threes, but a lot of them with the triangular forms. And so there's this main circle, and then there's these levels. Got about an acre. I don't know what you'd call that. Maybe half a hectare, just an open field where we're just creating this for these sacred geometrical forms based on these threes, and that's where the 99 and the 33 come in very strongly for me personally, and I'm very linked and aligned to those two.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It's interesting because I just literally bought a book from it's one of the guys that I interviewed on the show. It's called Lynn Buez. He's the author of classic numerology books, but also he links cosmology. And I was just flipping through it the other day, and he talks about the number 99, strangely enough, in his book. So what I'll do is I'll pop a link in the comments section, a paragraph or two about the number 99, so that you can read it. And
I'd
so
be very
can, any of
interested.
the viewers as
Yeah.
well, because I haven't read the book yet, but he does go into being able to integrate, he calls them self numbers, like, oh, there it is, 99. You have suffered much and overcome many hardships on your road of life. You had a lot and it burdened you. You had little and it troubled you. One day you let go of everything, and since then you've had everything you need. Your eloquence and refinement of manner attracts respect from the dignified and cultured. When frustrated, you may take a bit of a sarcastic manner of communicating your message to others. The negative side leads to cynicism and doubt. You are equally at ease with the casual and common, as well as those upon thrones. As a philanthropist and community activist, you are known for your patronage to the arts and the creative genius in humankind. There you go. It's amazing,
Interesting.
isn't it? There's loads
Yeah,
more
very.
about the number 99 in this book, but yeah, that would be a good one, I think, for, I know you don't like reading, but if you're interested, he's got a very interesting story.
I'm
This chap.
sure.
Yeah. An older gentleman, actually. He was in the Secret Service.
Ah,
Yeah, back in times of Trudeau, and so
oh,
his
wow.
yeah, it was quite an enlightening conversation. But thank you so much, Christine, for sharing all of that. Not only wisdom on the channelings from the Pleiadians and the magic of those very significant numbers, which I completely relate to, but also the emotion that you showed during today's podcast as well, and being so open and vulnerable, and the feeling that you have shared, I think, with me and the viewers, of this beautiful sense of oneness that you've just returned from, has given us a lot of hope for what's taking place on the planet right now, and moving forward into 2030 and beyond. So thank you so much for that. It's been incredibly soul expanded, like code conversation. So thank
Thank
you.
you so much, Hayden, and my love and blessings to everybody who is listening to this. So thank you, Hayden.
Where can people find you then, Christine? Like, do you have
Uh,
a website that you would direct
yes,
people to?
sure. ChristineDayOnline.com.
Yeah, wonderful. I'll put a
Yeah.
link in the description as well about where people can locate you. And please feel free to reach out to Christine if you do resonate with everything that she said today, and you would like, help with your own remembrance as well. Also, don't forget to follow and to subscribe to the Numerology Show so that you never miss any of this soul magic. And until next time, keep looking up. The stars are definitely calling you. Bye for now.